Welcome to the Media Roundtable. We're talking to leading voices in podcasts about what they create, why they create it, and the impact that they want to have on the world. So if you're a member of the media or the marketing community, or you're just somebody who likes to listen to podcasts and cares about the direction of this country and the messages you advance, we want to help you feel good about what you consume, what you distribute, and what you support. I'm your host, Dan Granger, and this episode is going to be quite a bit different than what we normally do because I'm not actually hosting it. I'm just helping set up the discussion. It's going to be a little bit different as we've talked about on previous episodes. So the reason the Media Roundtable is possible is because we have an ad agency called Oxford Road, and Oxford Road specializes in audio campaigns, primarily podcast, and helps a lot of brands grow their organizations and their customer acquisition programs through things like advertising and audio. So with that, we have a lot of perspectives on the advertising business that kind of led us down the path that became the Media Roundtable, because we found ourselves sitting in between brands that are increasingly conscious of the messages that they're advancing in the world through sponsorship, and creators who are trying to walk the line between having independent thoughts that may be counter cultural from time to time, but also making sure that they're not creating content that's so far afield from what's helpful and constructive that advertisers really shouldn't be associated with it. So this has been a big tension in the marketplace that's escalated in the last few years, and it's been something that we're working on very, very thoughtfully through the Media Roundtable. Today, it's going to be a little bit different, where we are loosely talking about some of those themes and how it affects issues like polarization. We're actually going to be talking about ad creative because we are coming out of the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was just this past Sunday, and I am joined today by a very special guest who is my friend and our creative director here at Oxford Road, Stu Redwine. Welcome, Stu, to the Media Roundtable.
Thank you for having me at the roundtable.
It's nice to have you here finally.
It's funny because
there's nothing round about the table.
This table is square.
That's correct. It is a square table. False advertising. All right. So we have some misinformation that's been shared, and it happens to affect the name of the show. We need to round the table because it's going to be easier to change than the edge. Than the name of the show itself. Okay. So with that, Stu, let's talk about the episode that you've prepared for us here. You had an interview with somebody who has actually created Super Bowl commercials. And can you tell us a little bit about your guest?
Yeah, absolutely. The guest was Jason Harris. He's the co-founder of Mechanism, agency out of San Francisco with offices in other cities, best-selling author, founder of the Creative Alliance, and has worked on campaigns. What I thought was really interesting is he's worked on campaigns for the Super Bowl that scored at the top of the ad meter and at the bottom of the ad meter. So getting his perspective is like, you're not just talking to somebody who's, hey, I've been a winner. He's been a winner. He's been a loser. And he was able to bring that unique point of view of going, what does it take to succeed in the Super Bowl with a Super Bowl campaign? Because he's done it and he's succeeded, and he's done it and he's failed.
So the conversation sounds like it's very much about, do you get into this evaluating the specific ads? Like, I know in the past we've used our ad grading system, which is called Audiolytics. We've actually scored ads in the Super Bowl game and actually been able to predict which ads were the best performing in real life outside of the game. Did you guys go down that path, or is it more about the themes and the broader kind of 30,000 foot view?
Look, this time around, he was a guest on our program, and I wanted to make it about him and his work, his book, The Soulful Art of Persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't bring in the Audiolytics grading that we've done. That, like you said, with the T-Mobile crossover with Taco Bell, we graded it 94% with Audiolytics back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It got pandered in the magazines, people saying this is a loser. We find out a month later that it broke their same day sales records, where it was a great predictor of performance. So we didn't go there. We're looking at it through the lens of the 4 principles that are found in the Soulful Art of Persuasion being original, being generous, being empathetic, and being soulful, and looking at, hey, and that's, with the Media Roundtable, looking at what are we creating, what are we putting in the world, broadening the conversation past podcasts to the Super Bowl in this case, and why are we doing that?
Yeah, well, and I'm excited to play the interview for everybody. One observation I'll tell you, just as we were even preparing for this discussion, is just that the Super Bowl, like everything else, can be a bit of a Rorschach test. And how an ad makes somebody feel and think and behave as a result, it can be very different depending on who's receiving it. So, for example, the Planters spot is probably the closest to the subject matter that we talk about on this show, because it addresses polarization and the fact that people can find something to fight about anything. Well, Stu and I, just talking before we started recording this, started fighting about the Planters spot because I happen to think it brings up a great theme that's near and dear to our heart, which is, let's not fight over so many things, and let's not be so sensitive about everything that it has to turn into an argument. Whereas there are other perspectives.
There's other perspectives we'll get to in the interview. So you got to listen through to the end to see.
That's a nice cliffhanger. And on that note, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to the wonderful conversation that you had, Stu. And anything else you want to say before it gets going?
Enjoy the show. Jason, thank you for joining the Media Roundtable.
Good to be here, Stu.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. This is a special edition. We're doing Super Bowl edition. But before we jump into it, I know we've talked a little bit before, and we're going to talk about your book, The Soulful Art of Persuasion. And a couple years ago, I was going through a real growth stage where it's one of the principles in the soulful art of persuasion, being soulful. One of the different habits that you have in there is the skill hunting. And I was in like a real skill hunting phase. And one of the books that I picked up was The Soulful Art of Persuasion. And another book that I picked up was The Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah, that book's amazing.
Well, yeah, and the author of The Obstacle of the Way is endorsing The Soulful Art of the Persuasion. So I flip it open and it was like, oh, that's some synchronicity. Like, I dig this. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and you can see it's like, I mean, I went through it and
that sucker.
Oh, I connected.
How did you find it?
I don't even know. I was in a complete like Ogilvy on advertising, how to write an advertisement, like John Caples, like, so it's probably Amazon going, if you like this, or like Rory Sutherland's Alchemy. And then it's like Jason Harris's The Soulful Art of Persuasion. And it's like, buy. So you're up there with all the luminaries of advertising.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was super great. Okay. So it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm grateful to have the conversation with you for sure. And talking about the Super Bowl, I think what is so cool is, so you're the, like they mentioned in the intro, you're the co-founder of Mechanism, founder of the Creative Alliance, award-winning agency, 40 over 40, all sorts of accolades. And you've worked on Super Bowl ads. And I think it's also awesome. It's like for every shot that Michael Jordan made, it's also all the shots that he missed, where you've worked on Super Bowl campaigns at the top of the ad meter. You've worked on Super Bowl campaigns that came at the bottom.
Yeah.
So getting your perspective.
One feels better. I'll tell you that much.
Well, yeah. And the other,
it's not about the ad meter. It's just, that's not true.
Yeah.
It is a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a fun call to have.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we came in 66th, I think was that was in 2017 to Teensy Homebuyers, Real Awful Moms for Wargaming. Yeah. And it's like, hey guys, so you want to like do the debrief? But also number 10, 2014 with the Pepsi sound check, which is so like,
yeah, that spot's great.
Oh, it's incredible. Definitely one worth checking out, the Pepsi sound check from 2014. Okay, so your point of view on the spots from yesterday, everybody's talking about Coinbase, US Ad Meter said Rocket Homes, the Anna Kendrick one with the Barbie and the He-Man reference was the one that came in number one there, and Coinbase came in 66 out of 66. So what's your point of view on the ads from yesterday?
Well, I would say that, I mean, I can rattle off like my personal favorites, but you know what they say about opinions and everyone having one.
Yep.
That, you know, for me, I thought Coinbase, you have to understand like the ad meter audience too, it's a useful tool because it is reflective of a wide range of audience in the US. And so people who sign up for it, it's USA Today. So if you think of the audience that might be consume USA Today, which is a pretty wide audience, but it might be a little bit of an older audience that would care about that versus rating the ads on, you know, Ad Blitz on YouTube or other places. And so it's a little bit of an older audience. So of course, Coinbase, which I thought was great, if you see a QR code for 60 seconds and you're not the right audience, it might annoy you. And so it makes sense that on the ad meter, it came up last. I had it as like probably in my list, I kind of ranked the top 5. I have that as like number 6, just outside of the top 5. I thought it was awesome. But the Rocket Mortgage one, I personally didn't love. I thought it was convoluted. It was enjoyable because Anna Kendrick is awesome. And they use Barbie, and they got Grayskull Mansion in there, and Skeletor and He-Man. So like all those elements were good. I don't think it was like a super clear message, but what they did, which was brilliant, because we talked about how an ad meter does matter. They had Anna Kendrick, who has 7 million followers, ask her audience to vote for it on the ad meter. And so it's no doubt that swayed the vote. And, you know, if you love Anna Kendrick and you get a good portion of those people going to the ad meter because she asked you to, you know, that's gonna make it rank a little bit higher. So I thought that was pretty ingenious what they did. Their agency on that was High Dive, and you know, I think that was a smart move. But if you want my top 5, I'm gonna rattle them off.
Yeah.
Did you watch them all?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was driving my family crazy. We watched it. It's like I mean, you know, shocker, national holiday, so we all get together, and I'm like, you know, my brother's going like, why are the closed captions on? Because I've got them because I don't want to miss anything, and like we're not crazy about going back in time because my dad's more like, I want to watch it in real time. So it's like I've got my note cards. I have my note cards out, like trying to, you know, go through them all as they're happening. Yeah,
I did the same thing. I had like 8 or 9 people over. I'm like an ad nerd, so I'm like, shh, you know, and they're like, what's, you know, like, I'm like, quiet, I haven't seen this one. And so I'm like, I got a spreadsheet, I'm making notes. But my number 1 was RoboDog, which was number 4 in the ad meter.
Yep.
And I thought that was really genius because they used the tropes of everyone loves animals and puppies in particular. It's pretty well known that you throw those in the Super Bowl ads. And they, you know, had an electric puppy, classic concept, simple trope, but modernized it just like Kia's modernizing their cars by making them electric. And they had an electric puppy who, you know, tries to get out and find the owner of this electric car. And I thought that was just really simple, super clear, and Super Bowl worthy. You know, like that's an ad that was made for the Super Bowl. Another ad I loved, which did not rank very high, no one's really talking about it, it kind of got passed over, was the Expedia ad with Ewan McGregor. And you like that one too?
Because dude, it was my I had feels watching that ad. Like as a person.
Yeah. And but it didn't rank that high. It's not on a lot of people's charts that have been you know, talking about Super Bowl ads. For me, when we think about a year of potentially starting to travel again, this idea that we're back, you know, new normalcy, starting to feel like that, it really also sells the brand, which is all about travel and experiences. It's in their name, you know. and it sells the brand, but has this great macro message for the time about experiences over things. And you're never going to remember that you got the latest iPhone or those sneakers, but you're going to remember that trip you took with your friend or your partner or your family. And that to me just was a macro story that tied perfectly into their website and their brand. And it really, it felt like perfect timing, and it really spoke to me.
Yeah,
Really,
and yeah, the
like
other thing that they
yeah.
did, another layer to that one, was that he was walking through different Super Bowl ad sets. Like he was
Yeah.
making a nod to, famous Super Bowl ads as he was going through it, which was something that I noticed.
Yeah.
I think it's probably like demo wise, like you
Like
and I
inside
are
baseball.
probably, we're
Yeah.
like right in the target of, our kids are, we're in the same kind of age range. Our kids are, from what I can tell, in the same kind of age range.
Yeah.
And those are the things that you and I were looking at the back half of life, going, I've gotten things, I have stuff, what really matters to me and my legacy. And so it landed.
Yeah.
And, so I see that to go as a person. That might be my personally favorite ad just because of what it did to me inside.
Inside, that's what I felt like. I always look for that bigger message. So then I also like this ad. I don't know if you like this ad, but the Harry the Hound MetaQuest 2, which was all about, it was like he's almost like at a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes,
type.
it was a Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. And he, was discarded and kind of missed his friends that he played in the fake band with, and that he used Meta. And it, to me, because Facebook overall, their advertising is not great or really notable. And there's a lot of concern and anxiety about the metaverse in general and what it will mean for us, and this idea of virtual worlds. To me, they took a really powerful way of showing how it can be used used for good by bringing people together in a way that you might not have thought about when you think about the metaverse. And it also explained the metaverse to viewers in a really simple way. And it was really, Harry the Hound got his band back together because they were all using Oculus to connect. And to me, that was, really well shot and produced, and had a positive message about, using metaverse, which is not, put this thing on and, go play a shooter game with your friends. It was a bigger idea, and I really like that one.
Yeah, I see that. And it's like it had the Harry the Hound's like joint. I can't remember what it's called now. I mean, it wasn't Chuck E. Cheese, but it's that diner that's in like everything. You may have shot spots there. It's the one from Pulp Fiction.
I know,
And
I can't remember the name, but yeah.
yeah. And then I think that's kind of cool. Like you're making me think more about it, because it kind of was a drive-by for me. I mean, I like the "Don't you forget about," and
Yeah,
"Don't you forget me." And I mean, I remember all of that stuff, and seeing them come together, and I kind of go, okay, well, like let's say you were in a band, like actually physically like getting the band back together to be able to do something, or you played a sport together. So like the best you can do is communicate, with the metaverse, which is something that, and VR and all of that stuff. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Like it's a way that you could get the band back together and actually do that, So
yeah, that's why I thought that. I don't know. I thought it was smart and kind of sweet. I don't know if it got a ton of attention, but it spoke to me. The other one that was, I think, a drive-by for a lot of people too, is the Jim Carrey as the cable guy for Verizon. And I think, and there's a lot of nostalgia like that in, way more than I've seen in the past, of just like, the sort of 90s hits and shows. Like that movie Cable Guy was 96, and Verizon really tapped the actor to reprise his role. Also, I love that movie. Like I thought that movie was great. And it was a great moment of nostalgia for me and the people I was watching the Super Bowl with. And it really positioned Verizon, which can be like, oh, is that like, that's like a cable company partly, but it positioned them as like the future while they're commenting about the past of cable and how there's no wires, there's no install. You just plug this box in and, got your internet, your cable, everything works. And so to me, it was, I love Jim Carrey, so it like worked for me. And I thought I always love simple ideas like the robot dog. This one was simple. Those really speak to me when they don't throw in like the kitchen sink, like a lot of ads.
Mm-hmm.
They just like throw in a million, celebrities. Like to me, the Rocket Mortgage was a little kitchen sinky, for example, we talked about. And then my number 5,
Yeah.
number 6 was Coinbase because
Okay.
it stood out. It was like this year's Reddit, superb owl idea. It was this year's like, let's do traditional, but in a non-traditional way. And then number 5 though was, which I can't believe I have 2 car ads up here, but like the Sopranos one with Chevy Electric.
Right. Yes.
Because I think what that one did was it made the best case for not releasing your spot before the game and having the element of surprise where you would watch it and understand like, oh, Sopranos is an older show and this is the younger Sopranos. So it's a new generation of Sopranos characters, just like Chevy's making these new cars. And it really caused a crazy tizzy on social channels.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a great example of like an argument for the surprise and delight at the Super Bowl. So I thought that one worked really well.
Yeah, that one was blowing up when it on Twitter when it hit. And I think like a lot of these, like my kind of take on it was and your choices here represent it. And I even think Ewan McGregor in Expedia as a choice of where he's at and like where the target of Expedia of who they're trying to reach there is, it sort of all felt like the nostalgia bowl to me. It felt like the crypto bowl and the nostalgia bowl. And I was just like looking around in preparation for this. And in the Washington Post, Mara Judkis and Sonia Rao said that basically all the ads and the halftime show where the performers combined age was 286.
What the
confirmed that we're old enough now to be pandered to.
That's
like
amazing.
the folks in our kind of age range. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I felt it. And I liked having all the nostalgia tickled. Like it was nice. I think on a few months ago, you were on the Future podcast with Chris Doe, and he asked you like, what's it going to take to be successful like in the next 5 years? So like, I mean, we're in this moment right now. And then like looking into the future with advertising, I think you are seeing some of this, and it's the questions that people are asking. You said that you need to tie your work to results and you'll be successful. Yeah. And I think that even the stuff we're talking about, the articles you're looking at, like on a day like today, is most viewed YouTube video of the Super Bowl, like of all the Super Bowl commercials, like which one got the most views on YouTube? It's Amazon Mind Reader with Scarlett Johansson and Colin Jost, and then the T-Mobile Zach Braff and Donald Faison musical one, which, you didn't mention and I didn't really have it high on my list, but okay, well, it's got the most views on YouTube, or how are we going to measure success? And that's where with the Coinbase spot, I thought, well, man, that's Accenture Interactive that did that one. And in their target of who they're trying to convert, I would imagine it's going to be people that, one, they made something that was like noteworthy. 2, it's people that would be willing to get out their phone and scan the code, which I did. I was like, give me my phone. Oh, where's my phone? I grabbed my phone, I scanned the code, and I'm already a Coinbase user. And so they know Stu Redwine, completely trackable, talk about success or results. Like they know that I responded to that ad immediately. There was so much traffic, it crashed the site. So kind of that's a lens, looking through Coinbase. I feel like they did well in the sense of, if you're measuring success by driving traffic, it seems like they did that. But
yeah, I think they were like didn't they go up in like app downloads to like number 2 or something? Like I heard they went from like 20 to 2 or something. So that's like another clear measurement. One thing you mentioned is Accenture Interactive did that.
yeah,
That's what you said, right? Yet somehow the site crashed. Like that to me sounds like bullshit. You know what I mean?
okay.
Like that's a way to ensure you get the case study in the articles. We were so successful, the site went down for 10 or 20 seconds. To me, that sounds orchestrated.
Okay.
Like, there's
okay.
no way Accenture Interactive and Coinbase can't forecast an obscene amount of traffic and the site can't handle it. Like to me, that's like, oh, let's get these articles out about how it broke the internet, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously they've got enough to do. It was 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It's an estimated 13 million of like, I'm like, and that's like totally like crypto bros. Like there was a little bit to me of like FU money in that, of going like, we're going to put up a QR code for 60 seconds, but grounding it in that quote and your point of view and with what you're doing at Mechanism, like talking about, we've talked a little bit before about soul and science.
Yeah.
Like looking at measurement, like here we're talking about the Super Bowl, but this is a moment. But how do advertisers and agencies need to look at tying their results from their campaigns, back to the success of it? And how is that guiding you right now and what you're doing at Mechanism?
Well, I think, yeah. So thanks for asking that. Yeah, we're always, our whole positioning is about soul and science, which is really creativity and performance. And I look at sort of soul or creativity, you're building the brand long term, and then science or performance is what are you doing in the short terms? What are the KPIs of everything you put out in the world, and what are the goals you're trying to achieve? With the Super Bowl, it's a bit of an anomaly because you're certainly selling product, but it's really big, entertaining, either see me as a brand that's big enough to be on this stage and legitimize the brand like Coinbase and the crypto companies, or, hey, now the brand stands for electric vehicles. So we're shifting what we stand for. And I don't know that there's so many hard KPIs, like because we ran the Super Bowl ad, we sold this many cars directly. But you're measuring things like social sentiment, chatter, how many, certainly views of the ad, how much talk did we get around the ad, was at 85% positive sentiment about the brand. So you're kind of measuring it in you run the ad, and there might be a direct, like Coinbase was sending you to a particular place directly. That's very rare on a Super Bowl ad. It's much more run the ad, what's the feedback, and then, making a statement, and then building the sales channel from there. And so Super Bowl is less measurable directly, with a few exceptions to, direct clicks or direct sales. It's much more of this brand halo, and do people like or know the brand now that we ran this ad? So it's a little bit of a different measurement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I think that's the question, is like, is it worth it? So for instance, in Digiday, they talked about the 6.5 million that you could invest in a Super Bowl ad. Okay. That's the equivalent of 650 million Facebook impressions, 843 million TikTok impressions, 915,000 clicks on an Instacart ad, 4.2 million Google search clicks, 1.7 million clicks on an Amazon sponsored display video, and 30 days of a TikTok branded hashtag challenges. So like when you're thinking of it and thinking of campaigns and thinking of a client helping them reach their goals, both soul and science, like, and looking at it as an investment and going $6.5 million on the stage at the Super Bowl, or 650 million Facebook impressions or 843 million TikTok impressions. You know, how do you think about that? How do you see those stacking up against each other?
Yeah, I think, you know, the fact of the matter is you got to be a big enough brand where you're doing all those other things plus the Super Bowl. You know, I don't think it's one or the other. Like the way the Digiday article, I read that article too. It's like, yeah, you could put your money in these other things, but is a TikTok challenge going to reach a really, really broad audience or not? You know, is it going to be, you know, maybe have more impressions or maybe last longer than a day, but is it going to have that big air coverage that a Super Bowl spot would have? And I don't think they're comparable in any sense. Obviously, it's a lot of money. I do think what I haven't seen, and I probably should do more investigation, is if you're like Kia and you have that Robo Dog, what do you do after the Super Bowl with the Robo Dog? You know, or what is the Ian McGregor comment about experiences, not things? How do you extend that beyond just the Super Bowl ad? And I think there's such a rush to get the right ad and the right thing out that brands aren't necessarily thinking about the after part of it, which is some of those Digiday examples. How are you leveraging on social after the Super Bowl? You know, how are you taking that Expedia message and expanding it? How are you, is there anything you're doing with the Soprano characters beyond the spot and it's over? So I always think about there should be a sort of pre-Super Bowl, during Super Bowl, post-Super Bowl strategy. And I don't think brands really take it to that next piece of the equation, which I think you would get even more and more traction if you had an extension off of that.
Yeah, and I've heard you talk about that before, of like, it's a story, it's 3 acts, right? It's beginning,
Right.
middle, and end. And so, for instance, there was that Ty Burrell commercial for Greenlight, which is an app you can use to like help your kids manage their money, and they get their own little debit cards. And I suggested, Jason, if you haven't done Greenlight yet, you can do it right now with promo code Stu. So when I went into
Wait, is that true?
no,
Oh,
no.
I was like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Because you like the message, you like who the message is coming from, and so then it prompts you to want to take action, because a person's character is the most persuasive thing, right?
I believe you, Stu.
All right, man. So I saw Ty Burrell. So Greenlight was doing this when I logged into Greenlight this morning. You know, you're talking about like, how do you weave it together? It wasn't much. It's just watch the Ty Burrell ad.
Yeah.
And so I did that. You know, I clicked on it, but when I first saw it, it was like, oh, I wonder if they're doing like, now Ty Burrell is going to take me through some other piece of content, or like guide me through some feature on Greenlight. Oh, okay. Like, that's what I was kind of like ready for.
That would totally make sense if Ty Burrell did the tutorial for when you sign up for it. And then he's like, don't be like me, wasting money. You need to teach your kids, you know, and then you walk, then it's like a connective tissue versus like the tutorials done by the founder of the company or someone, you know, doesn't connect. And so that's a great example of like, think about how it's going to pay off and extend.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing that you're talking about. And I think, you know, the other aspect of it, and I really don't know if anybody hit on this, is going back to the soulful art of persuasion, right? And you're talking about, and it's what we talk about on the Media Roundtable, primarily in podcasts, but now like we're broadening it, like with this segment, which is, you know, what's being created and why is it being put into the world? And with soulful art of persuasion, you know, it's these principles of original, generous, empathetic, and soulful. And that's a lens you can look at your own influence and you can look at your brand's influence.
Right.
And so kind of using those things as a lens. And I'm like struggling, frankly, you know, was there anybody that was really soulful? Was there anybody that was really hitting all the marks in your mind when it came to the Super Bowl ads this year?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe Expedia, to me, like, I think that's why we both liked it. It did have this soulful macro message that was original to the brand, like it's true to the brand, but it also had this like good purpose-driven message of experiences are more important than things. And I think that came closest to it, but it's really hard in one piece of content to wrap all those principles up,
Mhm.
like, but they could extend that idea and I don't know, do something where they're helping people have more experiences that maybe can't afford experiences, or they're doing some good in the world to sort of match their what they mentioned. It's not just for people that can afford vacations. We also want everyone to experience more things. So they could maybe take that off channel and do something bigger with that. But it's really hard on that stage to kind of hit all those principles. You're really not going to be able to do it.
Well,
It's going to be more about like our North Star. This is one piece of it, and we're going to hit on this angle, and then there's these other elements of empathy and generosity that we're going to hit in other areas.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like obviously that one landed with us. Another one that it felt like, there was a lot of ads that were entertaining. Like Planet Fitness was like a celebrity smorgasbord, but it was sort of like I don't even know what to do with it. Uber Eats, TurboTax, Rocket Homes, Verizon, like you'd mentioned with the cable guy. Like I think those are all ones where the entertainment was directly tied to demonstrating the product. But when I was thinking about it and thinking of our conversation, I'm like, well, who's being generous? Because I like that idea of, generosity or being soulful. And like from a product feature standpoint, I thought with the Google Pixel 6, the real tone ad,
Yeah,
that's not something that's ever been an issue for me.
right.
Being exposed in a photograph and having my skin tones come across. And so I thought, well, that one, they're delivering their message, they're demonstrating their product, and they're communicating, I think, something generous of going like, hey, we're going to have developed a feature in our product that helps more of you take really, really great photos.
Yeah, I think that one did it, actually. I like that one. I like the message. I'd probably, that'd be in like top 10 kind of idea. But yeah, I think that one definitely came really close to doing it all.
So closing it out.
Wait, hold on. Before we close it out,
yeah,
I want to know your like one or two of your least favorite ads.
Of my least favorite ads.
Yeah, the ones you hated.
Oh my gosh. Hate. Ooh. Let me see here. I'm looking through my notes.
I'll throw you mine while you look.
Yeah, please do.
To me, and it did pretty well. I think a lot of people liked it, but the Uber Eats one, which was like celebrity driven. I hate advertising that, when I think of empathy or like understanding the audience, I hate advertising that treats the audience like they're dumb. And I think Uber Eats, yes, they did a good job saying we deliver stuff. It's not just food. But I feel like, A, I think a lot of people know that. B, I don't think you need to use the Super Bowl platform to say that. And C, cousin Greg like drinking, chugging soap because he didn't understand what Uber Eats meant. To me, it's sort of basically saying like the audience, you're dumb, and we're gonna, spoof all these celebrities doing dumb things and eating stuff they shouldn't. And to me, it's like, oh man, it just did not sit well with me, and I found it like I don't know why they felt the need to do that. So to me, it didn't make sense. So that was one of my least favorites. But I think that one did well overall in other polls and other write-ups. But to me, that I just never like when you treat the audience like they're dumb.
Yeah, I mean, there's an old quote, on my bookshelf here with all these advertising books where yours is going.
Oh yeah,
David Ogilvy says, and it's dated because it's from when he was writing it, but the customer isn't an idiot, she's your wife.
yeah. I remember that quote. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm right with you on that. And the US Product and Safety Commission tweeted after the Uber Eats one, like, do not eat soap. And so that's a moment.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there you go. I would say probably like something like the Polaris ad. I just felt like didn't get all the way there. It didn't feel like a great use of their time. I don't know about hated it, but the Planters mixed nuts one where they were talking about mixed nuts versus eating a single nut. I guess it has an element of what you're talking about where I felt like it, and maybe I'm taking it too seriously, is that it trivialized our divisions. Yeah. And we all know on social media that, yes, you can get, like in Gulliver's Travels, the top of the egg, you have to, from the top of the egg or the bottom of the egg. And that like was a whole, okay, there are trivial things, but there also are very serious things. And so it's not all trivial. And so what it kind of sets up is this like rhetorical situation of one of you, or maybe even both of you, are idiots.
Yeah.
As opposed to what I think is real. And you've talked about this, your friend with the immigration and your friend whose father lost his job where you were talking about that you stopped to be empathetic and listen to his point of view, and that it's valid and you have a valid point of view. And so I may be getting too like high-minded with it, but the Planters one like just hit off the target with me, where I was like,
that one I think did that too to me.
Yeah, it was just like, so I know we've only got a couple minutes left. So what I wanted to ask you was your favorite Super Bowl ad of all time, or a couple. And then if there's any from this year that you think are going to stand the test of time.
I don't know. I don't know if they will, to be honest with you. But I will say this. I thought it was the best ads on the Super Bowl I've seen in maybe like the past 3 or 4 years. Like I feel like they really brought it this year. There was a lot of less groaners or wallpaper ones, maybe like WeatherTech, like.
Right.
I don't know why you're advertising floor mats on the Super Bowl by just showing floor mats.
But they keep doing it.
They keep doing it. It's crazy. So, but I don't know if any of them are like, I think to be one of those ads that are in like like a Hall of Fame ad.
Right.
Everyone would say the same ad. You know what I mean? Like it would pretty much be universal. Like, did you see that ad? That has to be the best ad. And I feel like this had like a lot of great ads, but there's still like there's gonna be everyone saying that they're a different ad is their favorite ad, but an ad to me, like the Force Star Wars ad Volkswagen commercial. That's when that ran. I don't know. I think that was like 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Yeah.
Something like that. But that ad was an ad that, like I say that ad to you, it. Like if you say, and you're
good point.
But you said that ad to someone in your family, they would know it.
They would, yes.
So that's like an ad that transcends outside the industry. Everyone would recognize it. And it's still a decade old. You know what I mean? And that to me is like probably my favorite of all time.
Excellent. Yeah. And
people will say 1984, the Apple ad is like the best ad ever. But
I feel like that's like saying
Oh.
Citizen Kane is the best film ever.
Oh my God, it's the exact same thing.
It's like saying Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance was the best one ever. That was 90. That's the first time they like stopped having Elvis impersonators.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So, they set the bar, and it is good. 1984 is good. I mean, for me, as far as standing the test of time, I think that Coinbase will stand the test of time in the literature. It's going to go in the history books as when they did such and so. And then
I think you're right.
And then when you uncover the conspiracy in your next book, that's going to be the subject.
Hey man, this is going out there. I don't know if that's true. That's just like my hunch, like Accenture Interactive knows what they're doing.
Well, and that was my thought when I was looking at it, and I'm like, wait a second. And then I'd say, as far as like my favorite of all time, I guess it's more recently, because I kind of am like you. It's like, okay, all the ones. It was actually, this was 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago, 2019. But there was a Doritos Flaming Hot Nachos with the Backstreet Boys and Chance the Rapper.
Yeah.
And he's like driving this like tricked out like Thunderbird and from the 90s. And just there's one of the Backstreet guys got this big pink fur coat on, and just I can watch it over and over and over and over again. I guess one other would be the It's a Tide ad.
Okay, I put that one on the list.
They made you question every ad in the Super Bowl, and it turned the entire Super Bowl into a Tide ad. Okay, so
and that was like, and that thing was an extension, right? That's what I was talking about. They had this idea, and then they extended it beyond, and that's a home run. And if you can do that without celebrities in the Super Bowl and stand out like that, like Volkswagen did, like the Tide ad did, that means you have like such a big idea. You don't have to throw Ozzy Osbourne into it. You know what I mean?
No, it didn't have any like powerhouse. What it did have, you just broke Jason Harbour's heart. He was the sheriff in Stranger Things. So he was, but what I was going to say is I felt like they tied into whatever it was worth, the Upside Down. I dug Stranger Things. So it was like, they go, this isn't a Tide ad, or this is a Tide ad. And it was like, he was the, the conceit that took you into it, of going like, now we're in the Upside Down. Yeah, great conversation. Thank you.
Question for you.
Gosh, yeah, let's do that. You let me know when we're
halftime show.
When we're done, Jason.
Marketing or advertising? I just want to know what you thought.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer all of your questions, Jason. You just let me know when we're done.
That's my
okay, that's your last question, sir. Yes, thank you, sir. What did I think of the halftime show? I think it hit me right in the feels. I'm in this legacy mindset. And, it's the music of our generation. And so I was there. I think that they, watching Dr. Dre and Snoop up on top of the stage when it was the two of them, like right at the end, I'm like, just how special of a moment can you even imagine? And when he's going, I've been in the game for 30 years making rap tunes.
Yeah.
And it was like, look at the commitment to their craft. So like I was in that kind of headspace where I was just like loving it,
So I, just like you've said, Coinbase will be in the history books. I think that performance and having all that group together will be in the top 3 best halftime shows of all time. That'll be in there.
Yeah, for sure.
With it, yeah.
Yeah, it was a moment. Okay. Well, thank you, Jason. This was a special conversation. It was incredible to meet you. And like you say in the opening of your book, and I think it's meaningful and it really does matter because we all are people, is be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me. I think it means a lot to anybody that has the ears to hear it. So thank you for putting that message out there and the things that you create and why you create them. And thank you for being on the Media Roundtable on this special Super Bowl Sunday edition.
Yeah.
And where can people find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome. And thanks for calling out that quote, and that first principle of being original is something that it's a constant work in progress, and everyone should always be working on it, because that's kind of what we're here to do, is be ourselves and make our mark. People can find me at thesoulfulart.com. The agency's website is mechanism with a K, mekanism.com. And I'm at Jason_Harris on Instagram and Twitter, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, sir. Thanks again. This show is dedicated to our mission of mobilizing marketers to advance truth and civility in journalism. We value clarity, truth, fairness, respect, de-escalation, and tolerance. And we invite you to connect with us at mediaroundtable.com.
Thanks for taking over the show today, Stu. You did an excellent job.
Well, thank you for having me on as a guest interviewer, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
What would we actually do in that scenario? Would I be the guest? Would you be the guest, or would you just be part of a panel and like we'd actually sit around a table with another guest and turn it into more of a roundtable discussion?
Listen, if the table's round,
yes,
I'll go get my sander and my jigsaw, and we can get some people lined up. Let's do it.
Let's go. Okay. If you have found this show helpful and you're committed to our cause, please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen. It's always free. And if you're a marketer looking for support to live this stuff out, you can get in touch with our agency, Oxford Road, by visiting oxfordroad.com, and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, The Influencer, which Stu helped create. Special thanks to Bianca, Kyle, Jennifer, Amy, the team at Podcast One, and of course, our guest host, Stu Redwine. And as always, influence responsibly.